All right, Jacob, take it away with the advanced stuff that we need to know.
All right, yeah, we've got a bunch. This week was wild, man. This week was like a great reminder that we don't know anything. In a lot of ways, some were fun, some were not. Like I couldn't believe how good Bryce Young looked. Bryce Young legitimately looked better than CJ Stroud yesterday. I was like just shocked, and I really like what the Panthers are doing. They're using more motion. They're seventh in motion this week. That has crept up as the year has progressed. And Bryce yesterday was blitzed like crazy, and he had an answer for it almost all the time. Like his receivers weren't coming down with some of these passes, but like he was almost always giving people a chance to make plays. And if he wasn't, it was because he was just getting rid of the ball and not taking a negative play. I think this is the best I've ever seen him play.
That's going to
Um,
be a game that I'm going to watch for tomorrow's show. That's number one on my list for sure.
definitely. Like he was just standing in against pressure
Yeah.
and staring it down and making throws to the seam, like all over the field, just spraying, just like right on the money. And he also scrambled and got away from stuff and made some plays with his legs. The other thing I wanted to hit on with Carolina was we saw a 36% first read target rate for David Moore, which is just super random. And I think is actually a Jalen Coker note. I think when Coker gets back, it'll be him and Thielen and Liggett as the three receiver sets. And I was a little bit nervous as somebody who has a lot of the two rookie receivers that we were going to see a ton of Adam Thielen yesterday. Could just be that it was the first game back, but he really didn't seem to be getting open at all and wasn't targeted hardly at all. So unless they just go away from him entirely, I think we'll see Coker step right back into that role. And he has that kind of like first read target upside that we saw David Moore fill yesterday. We've seen him get those types of targets this year.
Yeah, I just want to point out one thing about Thielen is that he had at least two end zone targets. I'm not sure if either of them counted. On one of them, he drew a pass interference. On another, he had the ball in his hands and it got smashed out of his hands on a big hit. And I can't remember if they threw a flag on that. So those may not count as targets. I'm looking right now. Did he have? He had one end zone target. So I think that one did not get flagged. But he had one official end zone target. He had another one. He drew a pass interference. But what was he had what only a 15% target per route run rate for Thielen. Okay,
Yeah, he
go
played a
ahead.
lot. He played like 2/3 of the snaps. He just wasn't really a factor. Arizona was probably the biggest disappointment for me this week. I was so excited for the Cardinals coming out of their bye. That offense was like basically top 10 in every efficiency metric, rushing, receiving, anything. And then they put up 6 points against Seattle, which might be a Mike McDonald note. The Seahawks defense has played pretty tough in the 2 weeks coming out of the bye. So excited to dig into that more. But yeah, I really, really was bummed about the MHJ usage. I thought they would find creative ways to get the ball in his hands. Instead, Marvin Harrison Jr. had the highest average route depth that he has since week 5. So yeah, that's something we'll report back on that tomorrow. But absolutely insane usage for Trey McBride. Trey McBride had a 59% first read target rate, which was obviously the highest on the week. And I think that's the highest I've seen for a tight end all year, even with the Brock Bowers games. I think that's the highest. It was just him all day. Like very first play, it's a designed rollout to Trey McBride, and they just like kept going to him over and over. And man, this guy is so good. Just like for reference on where he's at historically, among tight ends that are under the age of 25 and have had 300 or more routes run and averaged 2 or more yards per route run, there's only been 7 over the past 10 years. And 2 of those are McBride. The only one with a higher yard per route run rate than McBride has this year is George Kittle. The other guys are Travis Kelce, Brock Bowers, Kyle Pitts, and Mark Andrews. He's really, really an elite player. And like, maybe he'll literally just never score a receiving touchdown. But I doubt that is actually going to be the case. Thank you, Adam. And,
No, I mean I was about to make a touchdown joke, but thank you took it away from me. So
assuming like he does start scoring touchdowns, and it's like this guy is the tight end one. Like that's basically where I had him last week. And then Ben Gretsch talked me into Brock Bowers, which I think makes sense. Like to be that excited about Bowers, but it's like I think it makes sense to put Trey McBride in that same exact company. Like he's been so freaking good, and his offense, I think, is going to be a lot better than the Raiders. So there is the upside for touchdowns.
okay.
I want to talk about Caleb Williams. He continues to play better. I'm really excited to get in and watch this game.
Mm-hmm.
He had the 4th highest passer rating for a quarterback that's faced Minnesota's defense all year, behind a bunch of veterans: Brock Purdy, Stafford, and Goff. The Vikings have been so tough. I was really, really worried about Caleb because his upcoming matchup just looks like a buzzsaw that he's going to get put through. But like he came through pretty much unscathed in this one. The Vikings only got pressure on 22% of the dropbacks. I thought that was interesting. That's the lowest pressure rate that they've generated all season. I think
man, this is the healthiest his line has been in
yeah,
forever.
yeah.
Let's go.
I think that is like partially a line note, and then also he's getting the ball out quicker. His time to throw is the lowest it's been all year. That's 2 straight games where he's recorded a new low. Also, he's navigating the pocket well and scrambling. He still takes some sacks that he shouldn't, but he did have 5 scrambles again. That's back-to-back games. He was only averaging 2.5 per game under Shane Waldron. So he's doubled that in each of the past 2 games. And the guy who really benefits from it apparently is Keenan Allen, which I guess makes sense with getting the ball out quickly. 14 first read targets for Keenan Allen in this game over the past 2 games since the change at offensive coordinator. He has a 34% first read target rate. Romeo Doubs has a 26% first read target rate. DJ Moore's is 22%. So pretty interesting stuff in Chicago. I'm curious what you guys think about DJ Moore, because I think we were pretty encouraged after the first game, but not so much with this one.
Did you see his ADOT the last 2 games?
It's been, yeah.
So his ADOT in the first game with Thomas Brown as offensive coordinator, week 11, was negative. It was less than 0. Behind in this game, it was like 4 yards or something. Mm-hmm. So they keep doing these wide receiver screens to him. I don't really love that. It's working, I guess. He's getting a lot of catches. He turned one of them into a touchdown, I believe, in this game. But I don't love that. That's so gimmicky to me. I'm not saying it's going to continue. I still view DJ Moore. Like, they threw 47 passes in this game. Mm-hmm. It played in overtime. I think they had 46 in regulation. I still view DJ Moore as like a borderline number 2 receiver, I think. That's how I feel.
Keenan Allen now in the flex discussion? I literally just cut him before this week in
my league. Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
I don't trust it.
He's been so bad this year. I don't. It's not like he hasn't been getting targets. He's been just bad.
There. He really doesn't look good running routes out there. Like all those offseason articles about how much weight he put on, and we were like laughing him off. Kind of looks like it's playing out a little bit at least.
Yeah.
When I see him catch a ball, I'm like, oh, it's Romo. Oh no, it's Keenan Allen. He just looks big. He looks big. I don't know.
To your note about there being a ton of plays, it was 73 offensive plays in this game. Only the Raiders had more this week. On the short ADOT note, I wanted to bring up the Jaxon Smith-Njigba. We talked about last week how in the second half they funneled things to him more. This week he had a 36% first read target rate. DK Metcalf had a 29% first read target rate. So another signal of him potentially kind of becoming the one. And Metcalf completely disappeared in the second half, which is what happened last week as well. He just hasn't been effective. I don't know if he's all the way healthy or what is going on, but only 1 first read target for Metcalf in the second half. And then Jaxon Smith-Njigba created almost all of his yardage after the catch. 66 out of whatever he finished with, 77 receiving yards came after the catch. His ADOT was 1.9 yards. That is a little bit frustrating because he had just been torching defenses down the field the past 2 games. And then this week they kind of went back to the short roll. I'm still psyched to see him get the looks, but I wish we could see him unleashed down the field. You know who was unleashed down the field? Jalen Waddle. By far the best game of his season. That was only the second game over the past 2 years that Waddle has had over 100 air yards. I cut up all his targets. If you want to go watch those on my Twitter feed. He had another almost touchdown where it was an inaccurate throw by Tua that almost got intercepted, and then Waddle bobbled it and almost caught it. So it could have been an even bigger day. But he did all of this with only a 19% first read target rate because the offense continues to just funnel through Jonnu Smith. I don't know if that's a revenge game thing or something, but massive first read target rate for Jonnu Smith again, above 30%. He now leads the Dolphins in receiving first downs on the year ahead of Tyreek Hill. He's just been so good. And the usage backs it up that it's not just something random.
I was trying to look. This is one thing I didn't get to is see if Christian Gonzalez shadowed Tyreek Hill, and I just thought even if he didn't do that great of a job on Tyreek Hill, if you're Tua and you're got obviously their best cornerback by far on Tyreek, and you're not one of those teams that has one wide receiver, you can throw to Achane and Waddle and Smith. I wonder if that's what happened. I don't know. I think there was a little bit of that. I am seeing a tweet from Alex Barth. It says Christian Gonzalez in coverage per PFF's initial charting versus Tyreek Hill. 1 target, 1 catch, 10 yards. Versus Jalen Waddle, 1 target, 1 catch, 14 yards. So he is really good. I know I talk about him a lot, but he's a good player. And I'm going to guess that Hill had a lot more Gonzalez than Waddle did. It was weird. Like, I wasn't watching that game too much. Man, it was tough to watch like 7 games at once. I was in the office, had to have all the games on at the same time, and it's really hard to focus. And that game I wasn't watching that much of, but when I did watch, it seemed like he was typically around Tyreek. So I think that may have played into it with Tyreek just not having that good of a game and the other guys all having better games. HM with the 2 touchdowns and Hill and Jalen Waddle going crazy.
Yeah, Tyreek only had a 16% first read target rate, so that was below Waddle, and that's the lowest I've seen his in a long, long time. So I do think that probably makes some sense that he was covered by Gonzalez a lot. A couple first read target rates I wanted to hit on, and then I've got a few more notes, just 2 more after that. Yeah. Devaughn Vele for the Broncos had a 29% first read target rate, which tied Cortland Sutton's. He's just been kind of working his way into a bigger role all year. I haven't taken the Broncos that seriously, but I have been looking into them more and more, and like he's intriguing. Like, some of his per route data is decent. This might be a guy to have on your radar. I know people have already been picking him up in deeper leagues and stuff. Vele, they like him a lot. Yeah, 29% first read target rate for Romeo Doubs, who is concussed and almost assuredly not going to play on Thursday. So we'll see if Miami's offense is able to put points on the board in the cold. But if Green Bay can like finally be forced to not run the ball on 2/3 of their freaking plays, then I think we're live with Christian Watson and Jaden Reed. I know it's been incredibly frustrating for those two, but like surely we're going to see the Packers start to throw the ball more over the next couple of games. Like, they've got Detroit after that. So yeah, that was an encouraging note for Dobbs, but I do think that usage has got to shift somewhere else because he's going to be out. Bucky Irving week. There was a lot this week that made me feel like a fool. I was validated by my boy Bucky Irving. He's so good, and I've just been pounding the table all year that I really do think he can just overtake Rachaad White and be like the guy. Like, I know White has been good as a receiver, has made lots of explosive plays as a receiver, but Bucky Irving's been really good as a receiver too. He had over 700 yards receiving in his 2 final years at the collegiate level. He is 5th in the NFL in yards per run among 36 qualified running backs on the year, ahead of Rachaad White. Rachaad White is 9th. There's nothing negative against White. He's a good receiver, but it's like maybe Bucky's better. Maybe Bucky is just the guy. We finally saw Bucky play more. He had a higher snap rate than White for the first time in his career, and he had a 59% route rate. Rachaad White's is only 34%. That was the first time White's rate has been below 40% since his rookie season. So this really is unprecedented, and I mean, it makes sense. The guy is making crazy plays all the time.
I have one more note on the Bucs backfield. Since Rachaad White came back from his injury, it's the last 5 games. Like, Rachaad White, I think, is going to keep the 3rd down role. But how about just the 1st and 2nd down snaps between White and Irving? It's been pretty close for each of the first 4 weeks since Rachaad White came back. Like, White +1, Irving +5, White +3, White +1. It's been pretty close, the 1st and 2nd down snaps. It was Bucky Irving +13, 33 first or 2nd down snaps yesterday for Bucky. Rachaad White with only 20. It's like, I don't know, that could change. My other concern is that Sean Tucker was their goal line back. He came in at the 1-yard line twice. He scored once. He fumbled once. But that sucks. If they're just trying to find some type of role for Sean Tucker and it's that role, that's annoying. But since he throws to the running back so much, if he's going to be on the field more than Rachaad White, Bucky Irving's going to be pretty good.
This is assuming rational coaching, and like that's always dangerous. But it's like, are you going to keep doing that? You've got to win. You have to. The Bucs, you have to win basically every game. Like, are you going to keep playing around and trying to make this guy who fumbled to the goal line your goal line back when you have a guy who's awesome in every regard, every facet of the game? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Good. That doesn't make any sense to me that you wouldn't just like let Bucky be the guy.
Yeah.
Will Levis, you brought this up on yesterday's recap, and I thought it was a really fun note. He got sacked 7 times in the first half. That's the most first half sacks that a quarterback has taken since 2010. Wow. And since 2000, there have only been 4 quarterbacks who've been sacked 7 or more times in the first half. Will Levis is the first one to accomplish that and win the game. I love Will Levis stats. They're so ridiculous.